All right, hey folks, I'm Rob, and this is Ranjit, our CPA, our lead guy. I'm on the marketing team, and I just kind of drink our Kool-Aid. I really want to help more businesses understand how we help. But Ranjit, this is for folks that are on our about page. Why don't you help people
Okay.
understand who are you, where are you at? So you're in Houston, but tell us a little bit about your story. You got a little story around COVID. You're a CPA. You run. I think it's been really fun to get to know you. And then you did some overseas stuff that I think is cool. But help us get to know you a little bit, man.
Thanks, Rob. I've actually done a lot of interesting things. Like when I graduated college, I backpacked across Europe for a couple of months, came back, worked as a waiter at a nice hotel for about a year, and then I decided to do some more traveling. So I ended up living in Beijing, China for like 6 to 7 years, started up a couple of businesses, and moved back to the States about 10 years ago now, according to this day, which is 2023. And went back to school, went back to grad school, went into accounting, worked in CPA, worked as an auditor for a number of years, and back started in October of 29. Actually, went to audit, then I went to industry and oil and gas for a bit, and then I started my own firm in October of 2019 and been running it ongoing. And also, I mean, when I'm not running this business, I'm a runner. I ran the Chevron Marathon a couple of weeks ago. I did it in 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is not
Wow.
it's good, but it's good. Yeah, most people say, well, for me and my friends are like, oh, I did it in an hour and a half. I'm like, well, good for you. That's a bit fast.
That's
So I'm
awesome.
a runner. I go to vacation. I love traveling. I ran with the Bulls this past July. I plan
Wow.
to do it again this coming year in not Pompeii, Pamplona, Spain. So I run with the Bulls a couple more times. That was fun. Uh, yeah, do some traveling. Hopefully in December I can take my son abroad for the first time.
That's cool. That's cool. Now, do you have? I don't know that I've asked you this. Do you have cats, dogs, fish? Do you have any
I have
animals?
a dog.
You have a
I
dog?
have a
What?
dog. I have a
Tell
dog
us
named
about your dog.
Nico, and his name's Nico. I was wondering if he's around me right now, but no, he's probably in one of my rooms just sleeping. So no, he's just usually just chilling around. He's like, yeah, I'm just chilling, and he's a good, loving dog.
He doesn't go marathoning with you?
No, no, no. He's sort of
No.
like if I ran with him, he just sort of like stops. He's like, I'm tired. I'm just chilling here for a bit. And you're like, no, come on, we gotta run 5 more miles. It's like, nope, nope, nope.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Well, okay. So why small business? Why'd you start your own firm? So you were in audit land. That sounds super intriguing. Or at least it sounds secure. You're like, hey, let's go off and take a bunch of risk and launch into small business land. Like, what caused you to want to do that?
Yeah, it's a weird story. Is I went home. It's a very interesting story. I went home with my girlfriend at the time, and we went home to see my parents. And my parents saw me like I lost a ton of weight, and I was wondering why. And they were like, and they found out it was a weird type of stress I was getting in the corporate world. They just kept on pushing, pushing,
Oh,
pushing. And my parents were saying that why don't you just start your own firm? My family's always been in business. My parents been in business. My
oh,
grandparents been in
cool.
business, and for generations, it's been business owners. Like you're not a job guy. You are a business, and your father's been in business, so you know how it works. So when I talk to clients, they're business owners. From I come from that background, so I know how to talk. Like it's different in a job than when you're working in a job is different. When you have your own business is different, and people think differently. And that's why I'm very good at communicating with business owners because I understand what they're going through. I was born in it when I was 7 years old. My parents started their first business.
That's cool. Now, tell us a little bit about their business and what they've done. And I'd love to hear more of that. That's really interesting.
Oh,
Um,
oh yeah, no. I was born in Georgia, raised in Alabama. It's a long story, but my parents, when I was 7 years old, they bought a small gas station in a small town in Alabama, and
wow.
they were very successful at it to a point when in the '90s, where everybody smoked, they sold more cigarettes than any other store in the state of Alabama, and
No
that
kidding.
from a small gas station, a small little suburban town in Birmingham, Alabama, in the '90s. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. So you got your entrepreneur. It is so cool how when you're around entrepreneurship, you're around this. You kind of have to eat what you kill. You have to produce your own profits and everything. There's a trust. There's kind of a faith, almost like a faith you have to have that. Hey, if we go out and add value, we can do this. And that's that. There's definitely a feeling and a language that when someone like yourself can help us as an entrepreneur. It's so good. But now you went to China. What were the biggest change? What was that like? And help us, like, what was interesting,
I
or
was
tell me about that a little bit.
It was interesting. I mean, I first year I moved there, I lived in a small city called Zilabo, and there was only 16 foreigners, and everybody else was Chinese, in a city of 4 million Chinese. So it's like you literally are like a random person walking, where people just sort of stop and look at you because you look completely separate from everyone else. So was interesting. And I was like teaching at a middle school, and I was like, well, and then I decided to move to Beijing, and I managed English school. What was interesting, I also co-produced comedy shows.
No
So
kidding.
it was a business that I worked with another entrepreneur, and we brought comedians from New York and Los Angeles. And if anybody's heard of Chicago Improv, we actually worked at the
Oh,
Chicago Improv group, and we brought them to do shows around China, and it was profitable, and it wasn't as profitable enough to live there and be able to afford a family and all that, but it was a profitable business. So yeah, and I was like lived there for a number of years. It was a good time, but
that's
yeah,
really
China.
cool.
Yeah, it's just now I'm glad to be back in the States where I can actually have health insurance and all those
Yeah,
things.
I bet I can imagine. So now you've been doing this since you've been in finance for a long time. You're a CPA. You started your own firm. Help us understand, where are you hoping things go if folks are trying to get to know you a little bit. Tell us about, what do you dream about? What are you trying to do? How do you help people? And what does the future look like from your perspective?
The future is just focusing some more on this growth. I want the firm to grow, and I want the firm to be grow and not and organically. I don't want to buy another CPA firm. I want to grow organically. Basically, how we grow organically is by helping businesses. I've seen businesses grow from very little to $100,000 profit to $500,000 profit. I like being part of that team because they know I'm part of helping them get from point A to point B. It's not like, hey, you're making more money, great. It's more like, great, you're making more money. This is what's going on. And they have questions, and I love that idea of when I wake up in the morning that I'm helping people out. And it's not necessarily like, oh, what are we trying to get from them? It's like, hey, this is your situation. Let's try to resolve it. If you need the connection with a line of credit, I had a client call me up, and it's like, hey, I don't know of a bank. I'm trying to build a house, but I need all these banks to get me construction loans. Like, well, you know what? I don't know, but let me find out from some people that I do know. So I end up connecting people from one thing to another. It's the always idea is that we believe in helping them, because my whole idea is that I want my clients to be profitable, making more profit, and that's an incentive to me, because if you're profitable, you're making money, meaning I can still bill you.
Yep.
If
And I
you're
love,
if you're
yep.
losing money, you're not going to be around for me to bill you. So I have an incentive to keep you making profitable.
Yep, yep. And I think that's been something really fun to get to know you, is just this heart of, man, how do you have a skill that most entrepreneurs don't have? And I think you're really unique because you've had the ability to launch off and start your own business. Not only that, but you have the attention to detail. You have the competencies. You're hardwired to know the things that usually an accountant isn't that great at doing. So not only are you running a good business at Makh Accounting, but you provide that leadership to your customers so that they're actually growing, they're actually reducing taxes rather than just doing what's easy. And I think that's been really fun. So I don't know, is there anything else that people should know about you? There's probably very few people that have watched this whole video, but what else should they know about you if they're thinking about connecting with you or just want to get to know you better?
No, I guess the biggest thing is I'm really big into like outside of working, and people say, "What do you do after you're not working?" Well, I exercise a lot. Like I go to the gym at least 3 4 times a week. I run. Today I didn't go because it was leg day, and leg day you could always skip. Nobody likes to do leg day. It's just one of those things. Like I like leg day. Like, oh, it's okay. So I cleaned my house this morning for
What does
about
a
an hour. So like,
marathoner's leg day look like?
oh, it's just a lot of squats, a lot of leg extension, leg curls, just
Okay.
muscles. So I'm planning this evening. I'm going to be running with some friends. We'll be running 4 or 5 miles and have a couple of beers afterwards. So I was like, leg day and 5 miles running in with the same day is usually Saturday, is usually a very painful day. So I was like,
Yeah.
we'll just do the running. So I can still walk around pleasantly on Saturday instead of me walking like life was. It's just your legs are in pain.
That's fantastic. Well, folks. We'd love an opportunity to serve you. Book a consultation on the website here. We'll take good care of you. Again, we're based out of Houston area here. we love helping small businesses across the country. But if you're local in Houston or in Katy or any of these areas, we'd love to connect. We'll take good care of you. So go ahead and book, and we're looking forward to meeting you.